This podcast is called Obsessed. Joseph Scrimshaw and his guest get some secrets off their chest. You should listen. It's the best.
Hello and welcome to Obsessed with Joseph Scrimshaw on Feral Audio. I am your host. My name is Joseph Scrimshaw, not surprisingly since I just said it. This week's episode is about the cultural phenomenon known as Sailor Moon. I've been asking fans what topics they'd like to hear about, and several of you said, please, Sailor Moon. Do the Sailor Moon thing. So I asked a podcaster and host and my friend Emma Fyffe to come on the show and talk about her Sailor Moon obsession, and I learned so much. I don't know if you can tell, but I just said that in all caps. So much I learned. As always, you'll also hear our co-producer Sarah Meyer interviewing random human beings around Los Angeles and seeing how they feel about Sailor Moon. Have they heard of Sailor Moon? Do they like Sailor Moon? Can their puny mortal minds even comprehend Sailor Moon? Do they think Sailor Moon is the name of a painful yoga pose or a new craft beer? We'll find out. But before we dive deep into the magical yet confusing world of Sailor Moon, it's time to answer a listener-submitted question about their personal obsession. I throw out requests for obsessions on my Facebook and Twitter, so if you have an obsession you'd like addressed here on the podcast, follow me on the social medias as @Joseph Scrimshaw. Recently, Justin Riek, I apologize if I mangled your name, Justine, asked not one, but two questions, and I appreciate the obsessiveness of that, so I'm going to answer both questions. Justine says, I'm obsessed with mac and cheese. Why can't I eat less than the whole pot? I'm aware that it's not even real cheese. It's just so irresistible. Ellipsis. Also, I'm obsessed with the little samples of cologne that come in magazines. Why don't real men smell as good as the samples? Excellent questions, Justine. Let's tackle the less important one first. Cologne samples. Now, I'm not sure what specific cologne samples you've been smelling. I don't know if it's Tuscan leather or tobacco vanilla or steak lion or emotionally repressed axe handle. Most of those are real. But regardless, when you smell a cologne sample in a magazine, it is surrounded by the smell of the magazine itself. You're not just smelling cologne, you're also smelling murdered wood, which is probably an actual brand of cologne too. But when you smell an actual human man wearing cologne, the additional odor isn't the pleasant aroma of glossy printed pages. It is probably the stereotypical man smells of sweat, beef jerky remains in their bushy beards, and hubris. No cologne is powerful enough to overcome the smell of hubris. I have tried. But that's just my opinion. Now on to the important topic where I have some factual knowledge, mac and cheese. Why can't we stop eating it? This one is easy. It is a vast conspiracy, possibly involving aliens, the government, and every single fucking cow in Wisconsin. I believe that every company that produces macaroni and cheese has chemically manipulated the formula of their cheese powder foodstuff to remind us of our childhoods. Even if you didn't eat that specific brand as a kid, even if you never even ate macaroni and cheese at all when you were a youngling, no matter what, macaroni and cheese tastes like comfort, because somehow it always tastes like you're eating your own childhood. Even if you're lactose intolerant, it doesn't matter. It's eating your childhood, which should be gross, but no, it's beautiful. My final thought on this matter. I now plan to invent macaroni and cheese cologne for men and call it like rugged fromage or something like that and become the richest human being on the planet. So thank you for that and for your awesome questions, Justine. Now on to the plugging. Obsessed is made possible by your kind support on Patreon. If you'd like to help the podcast keep growing and coming out every Thursday, you can throw us $1 or $2 a month by visiting patreon.com/Joseph Scrimshaw. You will also get access to our patron-only bonus episodes. Shows. I do shows. In March, I'm doing some weird storytelling at David Huntsberger's The Junk Show. Then I'll be doing a stand-up set for The Meltdown with Jonah and Kamel. And I'll be doing a bunch of comedy stuff at Wizard World in Las Vegas. Plus, my good friend Hal Lublin and I are cooking up a show here in Los Angeles for April Fool's Day. More info on that show soon. You can find the details of all of these shows at josephscrimshaw.com/live-shows. But now, sit back, relax, put on your best magical space princess superhero cosplay, and thrill to Emma Fyffe's obsession with Sailor Moon. Hello and welcome to Obsessed with me, Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm sitting in my home with an awesome person, Emma Fyffe.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've got awesome parking, so I feel like it was meant to be.
Now, I think I'm going to start asking all of my guests this. Were you put off by me saying you were an awesome person?
No.
Did that bother you?
No, I think of myself as an awesome person, though because the convention company that I work for is called Amazing Comic Conventions.
Okay.
I tend to default to the word amazing.
Okay, so do you want me to do the intro again with amazing?
Yeah, let's try it again.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Obsessed with me, Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm sitting here in my home with an amazing person. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was good.
That was pretty fun, but I put my back into it a little bit too much, and then it did sound insincere.
You might have tried a little too hard.
Amazing! Yeah, I got a little Stan Lee on that. So can you tell the people listening a little bit about who you are and why you are amazing and or awesome?
Yes, I'm Emma Fyffe, as I introduced myself already. I'm like a podcast host. Like, that's what I would identify myself as these days. I do a whole bunch of shows for AfterBuzz Media, both at AfterBuzzTV.com and also several shows on the Popcorn Talk Network, or have been involved in the past, or had many guest appearances on, including Jedi Alliance with Joseph, which was awesome. But I do after shows for a bunch of the Marvel stuff. So I was on the Jessica Jones after show, and I'm on the Agent Carter panel. I was doing the Disney XD Guardians of the Galaxy for a while. I talk about cartoons a lot. I do Transformers and Star Wars Rebels also. And then independently of AfterBuzz, I do a Sailor Moon podcast called Love and Justice.
Nice.
Which is sort of my pride and joy and raison d'etre.
Now, do I remember correctly that you do red carpet interviews as well?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've covered a bunch of red carpet stuff for AfterBuzz. Most of it's sort of on the nerdier niche side. I've done several red carpets for Funimation, who are the distributors for things like Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
So one of my first red carpets actually was covering the English language premiere of the newest Dragon Ball Z film, Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. That was at Anime Expo last year.
That's a real title, right?
Yeah.
Resurrection F.
Resurrection F. It stands for Frieza. He's one of the main bad guys in Dragon Ball Z.
Okay. Yeah. That's not like an indication of there have been several other resurrections before F?
No.
Okay.
No, there was no Resurrection E or D.
I love all those translations.
Yeah, but one of the coolest red carpets I did was, and I also did the after show for this show, but I did the red carpet for Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Awesome.
It was so rad because I got to interview Bruce Campbell, and it was the only time I've ever gotten starstruck in an interview where I just my brain went, I don't know what to say.
Now, do you try to come up with unique questions for people like Bruce Campbell?
I do. My approach to red carpets usually is to try, I don't really come with a menu of here's what I'm going to say to everybody. I usually will interview one or two people on the carpet first, because you never get the really big people first. And I'll kind of get into a groove of what am I asking everybody at this? So at Ash vs. Evil Dead, I asked a lot of people how they think they would do in the event of an actual Deadite uprising.
Nice.
And then just based on their answers, I kind of just listen to what they have to say and go from there.
And did you feel like externally you did a good job with Bruce Campbell, or did you freeze up and ask him something weird?
No. Yeah, no, I did really well.
How's your hair?
No, he's lovely. He was really funny because, when you do red carpets, you usually have this little placard in front of you that says what media outlet you are. And so for us, I think it just said ABTV. It didn't actually say AfterBuzz TV. So he's just sitting there reading the initials and making jokes about it. And this is all on camera. So I'm whatever. We're just gonna roll with whatever happens.
Yeah,
here.
You just want to get some content out of it.
Yeah, no, it was great. He was really cool to talk to.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming and talking to me about Sailor Moon. A couple of podcast listeners asked for a Sailor Moon podcast.
Oh,
and
nice.
I remembered seeing you talk about on social media about Sailor Moon. So I thought, I'll ask Emma. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So could you start by explaining Sailor Moon to people who have never seen or read it?
Okay, so somebody actually asked me this recently.
Should be real easy, right?
They were why do you love Sailor Moon so much? And I'm because it's about a bunch of girl superheroes who are the reincarnations of magical space princesses. That is legitimately what the story is about. So it's roughly inspired actually by this Greek myth about the goddess of the moon, Selene, who falls in love with a human shepherd named Endymion. So basically in Sailor Moon, in the past, in the Silver Millennium, which was prehistoric according to the manga, 1,000 years ago according to the 90s version of the anime series. So Princess Serenity was the princess of the moon, and she fell in love with the prince of the earth. But the earth and the moon were, like, not cool with each other. They were, like, the people on the earth were, like...
Not
moon
BFFs.
People, no,
okay.
not at all. Because the moon people, like, led these perfect lives and had super long lifespans, and the humans are like, hey, whatever, we're just down here on earth, and we, like, die in a regular lifespan, and we don't have magical powers. So basically, they fall in love, but it's totally forbidden. But you know, they're teenagers in love, so you can't stop teenagers in love from being together. But this other woman on the earth, her name is Beryl. She, like, also was in love with Prince Endymion. Well, according to the manga, in the 90s anime, it's not very clear. There's been several versions of Sailor Moon.
Yes, so there are many interpretations, right?
Yes, many interpretations.
And then the English translation dub is different, right?
Yeah,
a little
okay,
bit?
so there's actually, like, 2 different versions now of the English dub. So there's the one that I watched as a kid growing up that was dubbed in Canada by Deke and then by Cloverway, which actually was recorded at the same studio. It's just Deke didn't really exist anymore in the 90s, up through, like, early 2000s when they made it through the end of the 4th season, which is Sailor Moon Super S. And then Viz Media just recently started redubbing the entire series uncut.
Okay.
Because, yeah, exactly. So, like, the version that I grew up watching was very heavily edited.
Right. So anytime that you say anything about Sailor Moon, you could theoretically qualify with, I'm talking about this version, from this version, with that version, with this version. Right.
100%. Okay. Oh, yeah, totally. And also, so there's the manga, which is the original story. So, you know, I got a little into the history of it, but basically, in far in the future, this girl, Usagi, or Serena was her name in the original English dub, finds out that she is basically the reincarnation of the Moon Princess and has magical powers and has to protect the world from evil. That's a very sort of, like, basic thing. And she's got a whole team of girls that do this with her who were the princesses of the other planets and her guardians in the past.
Yeah, this is the cool thing to me about anime. You can either go really short, like you did. You gave me, like, a 1 sentence, which was already kind of weird and out there, which is awesome. And they're like, well, basically, it's just millennia ago, teenagers fell in love because of the Earth Moon people, and then the fire dragon pooped a letter, and then, she just,
so
which is awesome.
It's
I love the differences. So what was your first experience of Sailor Moon? How did you get hooked?
Oh my gosh. So I actually, the first experience I had with Sailor Moon was I remember seeing an advertisement on TV for the toys.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
for the dolls that they made of all the girls, and also for, like, the toy version of the Moonstick and the Henshin brooch, her transformation item.
Uh-huh.
And I remember seeing
Henshin
this,
brooch.
Yeah, Henshin.
Okay.
It's like transformation.
Okay.
Anyway. So yeah, I saw this ad on TV and I was like, what is this? It's a whole bunch of girls in these cute little, like, sailor uniforms. And then I'm gonna get super. So I grew up in the Northeast, and I'm about to get super white right now. So I was at horseback riding camp.
Horseback riding camp.
Yeah, horseback riding camp. Yeah,
where just Coldplay was always playing, right?
Yeah, I was an equestrian as a child. So, and this girl who I went to horseback riding camp with was, she was talking to me about Sailor Moon and how much she liked it, and I still have this problem as an adult where, like, I can't admit that I haven't seen something that I feel like I should have seen.
You, like, fake your way through a conversation?
Totally fake my way through a conversation.
All right.
And so I did that even at, you know, I mean, this was 1995, so I was like 8 or 9 years old.
You bullshitted the other horse riding girl?
My way through it. Yeah, and then, so like the next morning, I was like, I have to get up super early and watch the Sailor Moon thing. And yeah, I was totally hooked. I still remember what episode it was. It was one of the episodes, people who know Sailor Moon, this will make sense to them, with Alan or Alan and Ann were their names in the Deke dub, and it was the one where Makoto is, like, into Alan's, like, human self, and she, like, makes him lunch. I don't know, it's a weird episode.
So you came into it from, you saw the action figures related to another person your age who were like, this is a really cool show about female superheroes.
Yeah, basically.
So going through life as a Sailor Moon fan, do you find that more people have that perspective, or do you encounter a lot of people who have just seen images of Sailor Moon and have weird assumptions that it's not good gender politics, that it's just Japanese anime of a overly sexualized girl?
I find, honestly, that most people who I have encountered that know Sailor Moon, they at least saw some of it on Toonami.
Okay.
Because in like 98, Sailor Moon became part of Toonami's lineup, and like at that time it was Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, and they were on back to back. So like for me, I would watch Dragon Ball Z with my brother and he would watch Sailor Moon with me. So I feel like that carried over a lot. So like most people who I've met are like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that show, you know, on Cartoon Network when I was a kid. I don't actually find that many people I encounter think of the girls as being like overly sexualized anime characters. Because I mean, the thing is, it's like, okay, yeah, their costumes are a little skimpy, but they're not really. And if you watch any Sailor Moon at all, it's like so obviously for girls, though I know a lot of guys that really like it, and they don't like it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course the girls are cute. They like that, but that's not why they like Sailor Moon.
Right, because it's fighting, and it's anime, and there's
girls kicking butt.
There's moon gods and stuff, and there are no fire dragons, right? There are no fire dragons?
There aren't any fire dragons, though. In the 90s version of the anime, in Sailor Moon R, the second season, one of the bad guys does transform into like a really fat, ugly dragon.
Cool. Yeah. That's all I needed to hear. Yeah, I was really interested and excited to learn that it was pretty progressive, really, that it was female superheroes, because I think there's a generation of geeks that were not into anime. And then when you go to a convention and you just see a giant picture of Sailor Moon bending over, you just say like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it is super awesome. So when you just watched that random episode to prove to the other horse girl that you knew what was going on, were you just confused as shit when you watched that first episode, or were you able to quickly figure out what was going on?
I mean, I was definitely a little confused. The thing is, my parents are computer programmers.
Okay.
So we were always very like tapped into like the information sort of world. So like I was using the internet as soon as the internet was a thing.
Okay.
So I feel like I just, as a kid, I think too, you're more accepting of like, well, this is just what this is.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I accepted that I was coming into it late in the game and I didn't 100% understand what was going on, but my God, I was going to get up and watch this every morning so I could figure it out.
Yeah. Well, this is cool. I knew that you knew a lot about Sailor Moon, and I knew that you were really, really good about talking about media and entertainment, because that's what you do.
Yes.
But you are even better. So I have a weird question for you. I do all of my research for every topic on Wikipedia, so I have an even level of knowledge across topics, especially when there are ones that I don't know a lot about. And then sometimes I pull some quotes from Wikipedia.
Okay.
So Wikipedia has a list of what it thinks the primary themes of Sailor Moon are. So I'm wondering if you would first tell me what you think the primary themes of Sailor Moon are, and then we'll see if Wikipedia agrees with you.
The primary themes for me are definitely love and friendship, and just like the power of being a good person and not giving up and just believing in yourself. That's great.
Okay, so you took away all of like the moral lessons.
The moral lessons.
The lessons of how to be a good person.
Yeah. From like a magical girl standpoint though, like there's a lot of like tropes and stuff that you see in Sailor Moon. So it's like transformation items, transformation sequences, girl Super Sentai team, cute mascots because there's these talking cats.
Right. Okay, cool. Oh, cool. You definitely agreed with Wikipedia on some of the themes. Wikipedia says recurring motifs include astronomy, astrology, Greek and Roman myth, geology, Japanese elemental themes, teen fashions, and finally, schoolgirl antics.
Yeah, I mean, that's very... Teen fashions, really?
Yeah.
Ooh, the outfits in the 90s anime are atrocious.
Were they popular in Japan?
They must have been, but oh my God, like you need to Google image search Mamoru Chiba, the like token guy character.
Okay.
Because he wears the most offensive, like they're awful. His outfits are so bad.
How is his outfit offensive?
Well, like just
is
like,
it like open in the back or
like purple pleated pants? No, just like an offense to
from fashion.
From
Okay.
fashion standpoint. No, it's like he wears like these high waisted like purple pleated pants and this blazer that clearly has like giant shoulder pads.
That is very offensive.
And then he wears this like this windbreaker that's basically sleeveless, but it's got like rolled donut sleeves. It's really bad.
Right. So you learned what not to do from fashion.
Yeah, from a teen fashion standpoint, yes, it's very good at teaching you what not to wear.
Excellent. How would you interpret schoolgirl antics? Like, I think I know what they're getting at of it is about life as a regular person as well as a superhero, right? Because they have kind of dual lives.
They do, yeah. Because, I mean, they're all like, supposed to be sort of 14, 15 when the series starts. So they're in middle school, high school. Yeah, I mean, schoolgirl antics, that's... The thing that's interesting is I feel like that is very unique to the 90s anime and also the live action version of Sailor Moon.
Okay.
Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, because like the manga and the new anime series Sailor Moon Crystal like move along at a very breakneck speed. So it's like plot, 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 plot. And it's like, yeah, they're in school, but we don't really see that too much. Whereas like in the 90s anime, they spend so many episodes like studying for their high school entrance exams at the Hikawa Shrine that Rei and her grandfather run. So
right, so you could tune in and not know that she's got a fucking moonstick for a while.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, if you picked up at the beginning of just a random episode of Sailor Moon, especially I feel like so the 90s anime really drags the plot out a lot. And by drags the plot out, I mean there's a ridiculous number of filler episodes. So like in the very beginning, they introduce Sailor Moon, and they don't introduce Sailor Mercury, the next of the Sailor Guardians who gets introduced, until like 10 episodes in.
Okay, wow.
Whereas in the manga, like the comic that it's based on, she's introduced in the second act. So like they have 10 episodes basically of like just Usagi on her own, and I would say like a solid half of those episodes are just like her and her filler friends until her real friends show up.
So it's like 10 episodes of her just hanging out with losers.
Yeah, basically.
They don't have any henching brooches or anything?
No, only Naru sticks around. The other ones like slowly but surely go away.
So it's kind of like real life. Like she tries her
true.
first batch of friends and they kind of suck, and then she finds her real friends.
Yeah, I don't even think the starter friends all have names.
Just starter friend A, starter friend B.
Yep.
So obviously you watched this when you were growing up and you were absorbing all of the lessons of friendship and seeing examples of how to go about being a person in life. Did you take any like dating cues from Sailor Moon?
You mean like, did I get unrealistic expectations about men showing up to save me and heralding their approach by throwing a rose?
Does that happen?
It happens a lot in Sailor Moon.
Yeah, that's horrible if the cartoon teaches you that it's a good thing when a man throws crap at you.
Yeah, exactly, right? No, I mean, so there's this plot line in Sailor Moon where like, so basically Naoko Takeuchi, who created Sailor Moon, always wanted to explore this idea of a romance between the four guardians, the four inner guardians, so like Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, and the four like so basically this is going back to the like mythology of Sailor Moon. Back in the day, in the Silver Millennium, when Endymion was the Prince of the Earth, he also had four guardians. These four dudes, the Shiteno, that's where the geology thing comes in, because they're all named after rocks, basically. Or minerals, I don't know. But Naoko Takeuchi always wanted to explore a romance between those four characters, which of course is very cliche and way too convenient. However, me learning about this at age, 12 when Sailor Moon was on Toonami and I started to get really, really obsessed with it. This was a game changer for me. And so I've always been into that like idea of, the bad guys who are actually good and changeable and in love with girls. So basically, I think that's where my terrible taste in men comes from.
Okay. So when you see an asshole, you say like, well, he's from the Silver Millennium.
Exactly. Like,
I can change him.
We're probably destined to be together.
Yeah, that's a really bad cue.
Yeah.
Now the original story is written by a woman, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So do you think that it is a female perspective on relationships because of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because Mamoru, who's the one guy character, is definitely. And it's interesting because the 90s anime painted him as a slightly different character in some ways than he is in the manga, because like in the manga, they go through their like rough patches sort of getting together. So basically like when Mamoru and Usagi, the two like main love interest characters meet, they clash. They don't really like each other, whatever. But it's clear that it's all just like sexual tension that's coming out as these like arguments and things that they have. But I mean, he is very much that. I mean, he's the damsel in distress, you know what I mean? But,
yeah,
but
with shoulder pads and everything.
Yeah, exactly, with shoulder pads and everything, and a Dracula medallion.
Wait.
Yeah,
does the Dracula medallion do anything cool?
No.
It's
he
just more bad fashion?
So his alter ego, his superhero alter ego is tuxedo mask, which is just a description of what he's wearing.
A tuxedo and a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, and he wears a top hat too, but that, tuxedo mask and mat, which is mask.
Tuxedo mask top hat would be a great name.
Yeah, it might be a little much though.
Bullshit.
But yeah, because I mean, he's very like they portray him as being very like emotionally adept, and he's very supportive of her, and like they talk out. Their relationships are very open in their communication. Like it's
so it presents you with old ancient god men who are evil but can be changed through the power of love and perhaps fashion.
Yeah, it's been immediately nuked in Silver Crystal. Yeah, it's like they're like, oh, we're good guys, we love you, and death.
And then they're immediately killed.
Yeah,
okay, so as soon as you turn the evil guys to good, they die.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you are met with what sounds like in real life a pretty positive male role model of somebody who's going to be sensitive and understanding and all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because, I grew up watching the 90s anime, and it was like, we refer to him on our podcast as local asshole Mamoru Chiba because, like, he's such a jerk in the 90s anime, but in the manga, all of a sudden I found myself super on board with this relationship.
Okay, so how is he a local asshole in the cartoon?
It's just, first of all, like, they get together pretty quickly in the original, like, manga storyline. I think it takes about maybe more like 35 episodes for them to realize who each other are and sort of get together in the 90s anime. Because he just, like, it literally is every time. They keep that trope of, like, the guy who's kind of mean to a girl, but, like, they kind of like each other. They just keep that going for a little too long in the 90s anime, where basically, like, every time they encounter each other, it's like, hey, what's up? Remember, you're still fat and stupid? Like, I mean, that's not...
He doesn't literally say that. That's not a literal translation?
That's basically what it is.
Okay, cool. All right, so you learned some good and some bad things about dating.
Yep.
Like, if you meet a nice guy... Hurry up.
Yep.
Make it work so they don't die.
Yep. Yes.
And maybe a local asshole has a heart of gold and a tuxedo and a mask.
Yeah.
So which of Sailor Moon's powers do you like? What can she do, and what would you like to be able to do if you could do what Sailor Moon does?
Well, most of her powers are all like sort of love healing powers. Because another sort of recurring trope in the series is that a lot of the time the bad guys that they're fighting are just like regular people who've like gotten possessed in some way because they're super obsessed with something or they've succumbed to the darkness in their heart, and they're always like possessed by the bad guy. The bad guys in this world are like constantly possessing people. It's like a real problem. So most of Sailor Moon's powers are focused on like healing that person so that they like get to be themselves again and she doesn't actually kill them.
Okay, but does she kick their ass? Does she hit them with things?
No, they use all magical attacks for the most part.
Okay, so she has a henshin brooch?
Yeah.
And then she has her moon stick, right?
Yeah, she has a bunch of different, like she starts it's first the moon stick and then it's the cutie moon rod and then she gets this one with a heart on it. It's like a whole evolution of weapons.
Okay, so let's talk about the cutie moon rod. Yeah. Because I will never get tired of saying that out loud. So she uses the henshin brooch to transform into Sailor Moon in various versions of Sailor Moon, right? And one of them has the cutie moon rod.
Yeah, that's the second like major weapon that she gets.
So what does the cutie moon rod do?
Its main attack is Moon Princess Halation.
Say that last word.
Halation.
Halation. Okay.
It's apparently a real word. I looked it up one time, but now I can't remember what it means.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it's going to make your life hell. Like, so what does it? What does that mean?
It shoots beams of light.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's what they all do, right?
Yeah,
it
they
shoots
kind of,
different beams of light and then different positive emotions to chase demons out?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so that's pretty much what she does. Does she ever punch anyone?
Not really, no.
Did she ever kick anyone?
She kicked a door one time.
Was it possessed?
No, she just wanted to get back into her house. Her mom locked her out. She did badly on a test.
Fair enough. And did she use anything magical to do that? Or did she have
it was actually before she got. This is in the very, very beginning. It's before she gets her powers.
Okay, so she didn't have like the goat god heals or anything like that. No. Cool. Now, so we've talked a little bit about Sailor Moon. We've talked about some of her romances. If you could go to a bar and have a drink with any character from Sailor Moon,
man.
What character would you want to have a drink with? Would you want one of the Sailor Moon herself or one of the more obscure moon people?
I'm trying to think. Okay. I feel like I would want to go to a bar and have a drink with maybe Sailor Pluto, because she is the guardian of the door of time. So, she basically just has to stand there and guard this door, but, she, allows certain people to pass through. So, who knows how long she's been alive, but, she has seen some shit.
Okay. So you would ask her about just the world,
the whole scope of time and space.
That seems like a good topic for a chat over beer. So all of the Sailor different planets and then Moon, but everybody else is a planet.
Everybody else is a planet, yeah.
Does Sailor Moon ever feel bad about that? Like, I'm just a shitty little moon?
No, because the moon was the center of the universe in the Silver Millennium.
Okay, so you learned some wrong things about dating, some wrong things about astronomy. This is not a good educational show for kids. So are they more active than just... So Sailor Pluto, right? She is in charge of all of time and space, and she just stands by a door.
Well, it's really complicated because
I wouldn't understand.
No, it's just... So she's supposed to guard the space-time door, but then, her one friend is Chibiusa, who's Sailor Moon's daughter from the future.
Right.
And so, stuff goes down with her, and so Sailor Pluto, goes to save everybody, and she stops time, which she's not allowed to do. So then she dies, but she gets reincarnated in the past, but, she's still dead in the future. Spoilers, so...
Okay, so she does get to leave the door and have some active... Cool, yeah. Cool. So is there something historical or something in your own life that you would ask her about? Ooh,
historically or in my own life? Well, I mean... Assuming Earth's history is exactly the same and that she has some sort of view of it, I'm super obsessed with the Revolutionary War right now.
Okay.
Which I blame entirely on the musical Hamilton, which I downloaded the soundtrack for the first day it was available on iTunes and basically have not stopped listening to it, and that was in September. So it's been a while.
Well, thank you for not bursting out into song. I mean, you can if you want,
no,
but you're...
I won't. I mean, we'll see. Maybe I will later. But yeah, so I would want to ask her about the lives of the founding fathers, I think.
And how accurate they are to Hamilton?
Yeah, exactly. How accurate is Lin-Manuel Miranda's portrayal of Alexander Hamilton? I mean, despite the fact that, obviously he was a white guy, Lin-Manuel is not, but...
Yeah. Now, can she alter time?
No. Well, technically, yes, but she's not allowed to.
So would you try to talk her into going back in time and teaching the characters of Hamilton the actual raps of Hamilton?
Exactly, to do the rap battles? I would, but she would die. So I feel like that's not probably worth sacrificing your life for.
Fair enough. So you'd have to get a lot of drinks in Sailor Pluto to convince her to make all of the Hamilton people rap in real life. Yep. Cool. So I read on Wikipedia about the talking cats you were talking about. Is it Luna and Artemis? Yep. Is that right? There are two talking cats? Okay. What kind of stuff do the cats help with? Do they help with homework? Do they help with space adventures?
They help more with, Sailor Guardian stuff.
Okay.
They're kind of the mentor characters. It's Artemis anyway, knows all about what went down in the past and what we got to do in the present time to prevent the past from repeating itself.
Okay.
And they Luna is the one who gives Sailor Moon her transformation brooch and gives her weapons and her new powers and kind of teaches her how to be
That's
Sailor
Luna.
Moon. Luna does,
okay.
yeah.
So why is Luna so stingy with giving her the new items a little bit at a time? Why doesn't she just dump out and say, here's a bunch of different rods?
Because Sailor Moon is not very good at her job.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the thing about, like, Usagi as a character is she is just this very regular girl.
Okay.
And so it is this very kind of gradual process of her learning to accept her responsibilities and get stronger and you know, and sort of lead her team.
Okay. So I watched, like, I didn't have as much time as I wanted. And I watched, like, 2 clips. I watched, like, the intro song.
Okay.
Which to my mind seemed like 18 minutes long. Like, I have the concept and there's a second verse. Okay.
Perfect, yeah.
And then I watched, like, just a little clip of some of Sailor Moon and her friends talking, including the cat.
Okay.
And the cat seemed real salty. Is the cat always kind of riding Sailor Moon?
Yeah, I mean, she's as I say, like, she's sort of a mentor teacher character, and Usagi's, to quote the 90s Deke dub, she's kind of a spaz. They called everybody a spaz all the time in the 90s dub for some reason. But yeah, so she is very much on top of her, being like, you know, you need to get your shit together, basically.
Okay. Now, if you could have a talking mentor cat who guided you, what kind of a talking mentor animal would you want?
Oh, I feel like I would want a talking cat because I do love cats. And I think, I mean, unless I could have like a red panda, then, you know, like if like we're gonna go really exotic, or like or like a fennec fox. Have you ever seen those? They're real cute.
I am getting very you throw out these words and I don't know if they are from real world.
No, they're real things.
So a fennec fox is real.
A fennec fox is real. Yeah,
it's not like a brooch that will turn me into a magical
boy.
Meteorite. A magical boy, yes.
No, fennec foxes are these really cute little like foxes that have giant sticky outy ears. But I feel like, yeah, but I would want them to be, I would want them to have like a very like mature sort of like mentor. Like I'd want them to be like Liam Neeson, like Qui-Gon Jinn, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that's what I would want my mentor animal to be.
All right.
It would be like Qui-Gon Jinn in cat form.
Okay, I really like that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so normally when I think of actors from Star Wars, my mind goes to Star Wars. But for some reason, in this context, when you said Liam Neeson, I thought, like, you mean from Taken? Yeah.
I was actually thinking that too, and then I was like, oh no, wait, I got it from Star Wars. That's like.
Now, remember to make good life choices today,
yes.
or I will find you and I will kill you. Not good at all. Not good at all. Cool. Is there anything in particular in life that you would want that sort of mentorship from Liam Neeson Red Panda?
God, yeah, I feel like the thing I'm like the worst at in life is asking for stuff that I want that's just going to personally make my life better. Like, I'm real good at being like, can I have more responsibility? Can I do more things? What other things can I do to help you? But like, when it comes to like taking care of me, not so good at it. So like, if I could have Red Panda Liam Neeson be like, Emma, you need to take a day off, that would be great.
Nice.
Great.
Yeah, and Red Panda Liam Neeson would just maybe make soup every once in a while.
Yes! Oh, man. Yes.
Kind things.
Yeah,
nice.
He'd make me soup and like cocktails.
So he'd be fun. He'd be fun too.
He'd be real fun. Yeah. He would know when it was appropriate to have a drink.
He knows the difference between cocktail time and soup time.
Mm-hmm.
Aw, man.
Yeah.
I wish I had a Red Panda Liam Neeson.
That'd be great.
So one of the things I really like about anime, I haven't watched a huge amount of anime, but what I like about it on like kind of Western entertainment is all of the world building. How much time gets invested into, we want this to not be like the real world at all.
Totally.
We want every anime to have its own unique sort of mythos.
Yeah.
So if you could do that to your own life, what kind of world building would you want to build up?
Oh, for my own world?
Yeah.
Well, obviously. Okay, so I would love to be the reincarnation of a magical space princess, number one, because I just need those magical powers. But the other thing that I really would want in my own life, I don't know if you ever read like the Dragon Riders of Pern series when you were a kid.
No, but I've talked to a lot of people.
You're somewhat familiar with them. So basically, like, I was rereading those books not too long ago, and I got like legitimately depressed that I would never have a dragon. So like in my world, like I would be fine with just like living in this world that we live in, but like I also have magical powers and a dragon to whom I am bonded for life. and like I rule and like I'm the leader of a community of people who have these dragons, but it's like I would be like a magical girl, but like I get my powers from my bond with my dragon.
Nice.
I feel like.
Now, is that because, do you think it's because you crave more responsibility because you're such a hardworking person?
Yeah,
that you'd like also
so.
like a magical world to be in charge of?
Yeah, I think that's very true. Yeah, like I was literally I was reading Dragon Riders of Pern. It was the first book, and so like when Lessa like becomes the werewoman basically by impressing Ramoth, the queen dragon that's her like companion, I was like, I'm never gonna, this will never be my life. It was a really sad moment.
I understand. When I was a kid, I got super upset. I don't know why this centered around Iceman for some reason, because Iceman is not the most impressive superhero out there. I think it was because I grew up in Minnesota, and I thought, I could turn into the thing that torments me. Yep. And I could have power over it.
Exactly.
So for some reason, I got really obsessed with Iceman. Like, I want to be Iceman. And I distinctly remember telling my mother that I was bummed out. Well, she just saw that I was upset. Like, it was visually, she could tell that I was upset. And I was like, I'm never going to have superpowers. And she got real concerned. I might need to take my child to therapy because he wants to be Iceman. Almost to the point of frozen little tears. So I relate to that sudden, if you spend a lot of time in geek world, that sudden realization of like, this won't happen. I can only find ways to emulate it. So another thing I like about anime is the fan service concept, like that it's blatant and has a name.
It is, yeah.
And I feel like more people are aware of that term.
Yeah, I
now.
agree.
But if the creators of Sailor Moon came to you and said, hey, we're making more Sailor Moon, and you're a fan, how can we service you? What kind of things would you want in Sailor Moon as an adult fan?
Less shirts on the men.
Still shoulder pads?
No shoulder pads.
Okay.
Yeah, get rid of the ugly fashion. More less shirts, more butts.
Would you want dragons?
And dragons, yeah.
Would you want to see the dragons' butts?
Absolutely. I mean, you kind of always do. They don't really wear pants. So.
No, they don't. But would you want them to be like defined buttocks on dragons?
Just like sexy dragon curved butts.
A little bit of world building there. Yeah. That seems a little gross to me.
Yeah, it does seem.
So you would just want the typical fan service.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You know, it's interesting because fan service is more common in shonen anime, so anime that's aimed at boys, than it is in girls anime. You know, sort of the closest you get to fan service in most sort of shoujo anime is just a lot of really attractive dudes.
Yeah.
And certainly most of the few and far between male characters that show up in Sailor Moon are very attractive. And in the 90s anime, there's all these really funny scenes of Usagi like fantasizing basically about getting married to both Tuxedo Mask and Motoki, the guy who she has a crush on. It's great.
Who is Motoki?
Oh, he works part-time at the Crown Arcade where Usagi and her friends hang out.
And does he turn into anything?
Nope.
Okay.
He's just a dude.
Oh, what
he's
a loser.
Just a dude. Yeah. And he's a real loser in the live-action version of Sailor Moon.
Cool. Does she imagine getting married to them both at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny.
When you saw that growing up, were you like, yeah, that's the way to go? Marrying all the dudes I know at once.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just get more for me. I'm not sharing them with anybody. She did not. And that's the thing is like, it's so funny and innocent because it's like, she just doesn't see the problem with it. And then, and there's like there's a really funny scene actually in an episode that we were just talking about on the podcast where like, she takes them both out to lunch. It's like, she didn't really intend to. It was like, she wanted to talk to Motoki about a problem she was having with another one of her friends, but then Mamoru showed up and was like, what's up, fat asshole? I'm here too. And then they like all go out for lunch.
Who did he call a fat asshole this time? Now, does he literally call her fat?
No, well, sort of.
What does he say? Like, husky?
No, just like, it just talks about her like being heavy and things like that sometimes.
Yeah, that's fat.
Yeah.
Is that just in the English dub?
No, it's in the subtitles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, I don't speak Japanese, so for all I know, it's not translated correctly.
Okay, cool. So this is a side question. You are really good at rattling off details and facts and having the names without any ums or ahs. Did that come from your ability to bullshit as a young horse riding kid?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because as a kid who could not admit to having not seen things I felt I should have seen, I would immediately go and research that thing. And so I would have to memorize all the names very quickly and not have lots of vocal pauses to make it seem plausible that I really knew what I was talking about.
Excellent. Well, and it served you well in your career.
Yeah.
So this is another weird question from Wikipedia. Wikipedia had a list of anime titles that were inspired by Sailor Moon.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm going to read those to you, and there are a couple of fake ones in there. And I want to see if you can tell me which the fake ones are.
Okay.
We'll test your knowledge.
Oh, wow. Other magical girl series.
Exactly. So here's the list.
Okay, yes.
Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Sure.
Wedding Peach.
Yep.
Panda Bear Event Horizon. Spaceship Sad Face 2127.
Probably not.
And Nurse Angel Rikura SOS.
That's a real one.
Okay.
That last one is real.
How do I say it correctly? Nurse Angel.
Nurse Angel. Let me
It's
look at
Rika.
Ririka, yeah.
Good. So can you say the whole title?
Yeah, Nurse Angel Ririka SOS.
Nice, and really fast. So you're accusing me of Spaceship Sad Face 2127 is not a real thing. Fair enough. What do you think the other fake one is?
The panda one.
Yeah, the panda one. It's amazing because the anime titles are they sound so bizarre to our ears,
they do,
but at the same time they are hard to fake.
Yeah.
Because they are actually sincere.
Well, and I also really like Magic Knight Ray Earth. And we have some fans of the podcast that have been asking us to do an episode about Wedding Peach. So
okay.
Yeah.
So what's Wedding Peach about real quick?
I'm really not familiar with it. I hate to admit because I don't like to admit
that's
that
progress.
I haven't seen.
That's progress.
Yeah, I'm making progress.
That I can tell that Panda Bear, Red Panda Liam Neeson has been coaching you.
Yes.
It's okay to not know things.
Yes, it is.
It's okay to just say, I don't know what the hell Wedding Peach is about.
Yeah, yep.
So how would it affect a person if they watched nothing but Sailor Moon for a week?
If you watched nothing but Sailor Moon for a week, I mean, you would end your week just believing that there is nothing better than the power of friendship. I mean that because that's the thing, like that is really what it is about. Like what I really like about Sailor Moon, particularly Sailor Moon herself as a character, is that all of her strength comes from her very feminine qualities.
Okay.
So it's like because she is compassionate and she is kind and she puts the needs of her friends above her own needs, like that is what makes her as powerful as she is.
Okay. And even magically, right? So, like, when she's using her items, she has to tap into her own emotions kind of thing?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, it all runs on the power of her heart.
Aww. And now the show has, like, real stakes and tragedy. And,
totally, yeah. I mean, the other thing you might take away, depending on what version you were watching, assuming it was the 90s anime, is that if you become a Yoma, you will probably have, like, a vacuum cleaner hand and a shoe butt. Because the monsters in the 90s anime are crazy.
Okay.
They're crazy.
And the vacuum-handed, shoe-butted person is a villain?
Yeah. Those are just like the monster of the week kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she still defeats them with love.
Yeah.
And friendship, but just a little bit less.
Well, yeah. I mean, not as much as like the characters that are like dealing with dark struggles that she has to like heal or defeat or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's cool that moral came out so clearly. Have you ever been cognizant of being in a situation where you said, I'm going to handle this like Sailor Moon? I don't have any magical sticks to amplify it, but I just need to use love to solve this?
I'm trying to think. I feel like if nothing else, like Sailor Moon has taught me to like be cooperative and like the sort of value of teamwork and sort of taking everybody's individual perspectives and strengths into account.
Right. And saying, like, this person's like Sailor Pluto. They're just standing at a door.
Exactly. Like, this person, well, they're really good at standing there, so I'm going to have them watch the door so nobody else gets into this super secret meeting we're having.
And then if there's a space-time problem, they can help
they'll
out.
solve it.
So where do you think your obsession with Sailor Moon will go in the future? Do you see yourself still, like, obsessed with it when you're 87?
I have a very vivid memory of talking about Sailor Moon in the back of the car with my brother while we were driving out to dinner or something one time when I was a kid. And my mom my mom or dad, one of them saying to me, like, you're probably not going to like this thing as much when you're 30. I'm going to be 30 in less than a month, and I think I might like it more now.
Yeah.
I don't really see it going away because it's something that throughout my life, like, I haven't maintained certainly the level of obsession I had with it at, 14 years old throughout from 14 to now, but it's something that I always come back to. So it's like, I've always liked it. But then periodically I'd go back and I'm like, oh yeah, I really like Sailor Moon. And I'd start researching it again and rereading the manga and rewatching the live action series. So yeah, I don't think it's going away. Plus, there's so much Sailor Moon content to talk about. We've got 5 years of podcast content.
Right, so you'll never stop doing the podcast. I think that's fascinating that your parents said, you won't like this that much when you're older. Because I think generations of parents said that to their children and were right.
Yeah.
But not anymore. They're in for a rude awakening. We will not let go of anything.
Nope. No.
If it was dumb when we were kids, we'll just remake it
the way we like it. It'll be better.
But I think it is fascinating that younger generations have gotten attached to the things that they like as a kid, and instead of going, these are childish things, I'm going to put them away, we find a way to embrace them as adults.
Exactly, and make it relevant to our adult lives. So, it's for me, when Sailor Moon Crystal, the new Sailor Moon series came out, I was 100% completely back into Sailor Moon, just diving into the deep end. And I remember at the time I was kind of I love Sailor Moon. I really want a podcast that really delves into Sailor Moon and all the stuff that I really like about it. And there wasn't one. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to make one.
Nice.
Here we are today. So
imagining you're 98 in a nursing home, maybe 122 by the time you reach that age.
Exactly.
How do you think you'd be expressing your love of Sailor Moon at that point?
Well, I mean, I'll still have my blanket that is a replica of the blanket that is on Usagi's bed in her bedroom. I will definitely have replicas of the cutie moonrod and the moonstick just displayed prominently on a shelf near my bed or on my wall. I'll probably be spending my days chilling in bed, watching Sailor Moon reruns.
Have you ever heard of Sailor Moon?
It sounds familiar, yeah.
Do you know what it is?
It's like a show, I think.
Have you ever heard of Sailor Moon?
I have heard of it. It's the cartoon, right? My little nieces used to watch it. Sailor Moon. Sounds like an old anime comic, right? Oh God, my brother loves that stuff. Dragon Ball Z, right?
Is your brother obsessed?
Not obsessed. He doesn't jerk off to it.
Have you ever heard of Sailor Moon?
Yes.
Can you tell me what it is?
It's these sisters that have powers that all come from different moons.
Do you know what cutie moonrod is?
I have no idea.
I don't know, but it sounds sexual.
I have no clue what a cutie moonron is. I don't know. It sounds like some kind of, maybe a rock or something. I don't know. A weapon of choice, maybe. I don't know.
Do you know what a cutie moonrod is?
No.
What does it sound like?
For a 25-year-old like me, sounds like some sort of porno situation.
I saw Sailor Moon and her sisters at the boardwalk last week.
I don't understand what that means.
The sisters, Sailor Moon, they were here. Some Japanese girls were dressed as Sailor Moon at the boardwalk. Yes, I saw the little purple, pink one, the main one, Sailor Moon, and the two other sisters, the green and yellow sister.
Do you think love is a superpower?
No. No, it's not a superpower, no.
Is love a superpower?
Don't fall in love is the moral of the story.
Yikes.
You could be the CEO of anything. You could do anything you want. You could have the most fun, best life. But there's one thing that could ruin it. It's the L word.
That's kind of a bummer, man. Do you believe love is a superpower?
Absolutely. Love can conquer a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Why?
Love is love.
We're going to move on to the How Obsessed Are You questions.
Okay.
So I ask people these questions or variations of them on every podcast. There are no right or wrong answers.
Perfect.
I just like to compare across podcasts how obsessed people are. Do you think about Sailor Moon every day?
Well, yeah, because I'm always thinking about what are we... Because right now, Sailor Moon Crystal is on hiatus until it comes back March 6th. So we've been like, what are we going to talk about this week on the podcast? So I think about it every day.
Right, so you don't have that fresh content to just react to new stuff, so you have to dig
so
deep
it's like
into...
digging, like, okay, what musical are we going to talk about this week? Or do we want to cover some alternative plotline from the live action version? So, yeah, and I mean, and even without that, it's like I have the freaking blanket on my bed. You can't help but, like, have a little thought of Sailor Moon.
Now, is the blanket magical? Does it do anything?
No, it's just really cute. It's got bunnies and moons on it.
It just transforms you from awake to sleeping,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Would you start a conversation with a random stranger about Sailor Moon?
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, especially, like, I mean, because I go to and work at a lot of conventions, and I mean, sort of the nature of being at a convention is just interacting with random strangers, and
right.
especially when you're sort of in this industry where there is this certain level of, okay, you need to go talk to people, you need to network. So yeah, anybody that like I see walking around like wearing a Sailor Moon shirt will just like accost them and be like, here's business cards for our podcast, you should check it out, come to our panel, whatever.
Nice. Now, you know anime really well, so do you always recognize all of the anime characters at conventions?
Not always. There's so much anime.
Yes.
And for me, there is kind of a gap in my knowledge. So from about 12 to probably sort of 17, older high school, but not up to the point that I graduated, I was like crazy obsessed with anime. Watched so much anime, like got fan subs of stuff. It was like hardcore.
Okay.
And then when I was like 17, 18, and then when I was in college, I went through this phase of being like, I need to be a functioning adult. I need to go to frat parties. I need to live a normal life.
I'm sorry, I've never heard somebody say functioning adult means going to a frat party. I know what you mean.
Like,
I know what you mean.
More like quote unquote normal.
You need to be normal and in the normal world.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
a funny contrast from functioning adult to
frat parties,
doing a
yeah.
kegger.
So, which I didn't go to frat parties. I went to a cappella parties. Like, I was not, like, I tried, but it did not
I would
work out.
never, ever judge you for loving anime or having a Sailor Moon blanket.
I know.
But a cappella parties, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll be a
draw
dick
the
about
line
that.
right there. Yeah. But yeah, so there is sort of this gap in my knowledge from when I was in college, but I was still watching cartoons and stuff in college. It just wasn't anime, and
Okay.
I didn't play as many video games. And then once I started touring, because I toured with the Children's Theater Company for 2.5 years right after I graduated college. And once I was on the road and I had all this time to myself, like when I wasn't actively like rehearsing with the kids or doing the shows or doing workshops, I like had all this time to get back into the things that
Nice.
I really liked. And so I just went like balls deep into JRPGs and anime again. So, but yeah, there is sort of this like 5-year gap in my knowledge.
Excellent. Would you get a Sailor Moon tattoo?
I don't have a Sailor Moon tattoo, but I have a Revolutionary Girl Utena tattoo. So, yes, I would.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what would you get? What would sum up Sailor Moon for you?
I want to get the like bloomed flower version of the silver crystal.
Okay.
Which is like the source of Sailor Moon's power. That's the gem that runs on the power.
Is it kind of a MacGuffin? Does it run through the series as a thing that people are chasing after?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would you read or write slash fiction about Sailor Moon? I always ask that question. It's a little more potent with something like Sailor Moon.
When I was a kid, when I was like, no, actually, I just realized I went through a phase in college where I started to get back into Sailor Moon. I'm like having a very vivid memory. So I stayed to do a Maymester one summer. So basically it's like you stay for May and you take one class and you have that class like 4 days a week for like 3 hours a day.
Great name for an anime too.
And it was a general science class. And we were talking about the planets, and that got me thinking about Sailor Moon again. So I was just like daydreaming this crazy fan fiction that I started writing that was about the Silver Millennium. And so it was all going to be about how the Sailor Guardians and the Shitano got together, and it was going to be sexy. But it was, the Earth was like the the prehistoric Earth. So, like, there were all, like, Endymion and all of his people were there, but there were also dinosaurs.
Okay.
Yep.
Any dragons?
No dragons.
Okay, you said, I think one of the saddest sentences in the English language, it was going to be sexy.
I didn't get that far.
So why did you stop? Did you have to go to a kegger?
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. Well, I mean, like, boys across the street from me did get a kegerator, so I had a lot of beer pong to play.
So why didn't you finish it? Did you just get distracted by adult concerns?
I was just very... No, I mean, I've always been the kind of person to, like, super overschedule myself.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was it. It was, like, during Maymester, I had all this free time to, like, write... It was an epic fan fiction. Like, many chapters.
So you really needed to build up.
There was a lot of world building. Yeah, exactly. And, like, the build up to these people who should hate each other getting together.
Right. Has to make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So the only reason that you have not written full-on Sailor Moon / fiction is because you were too busy being an adult.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, I wrote in more recent history, some sexy stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Sailor Moon in specific?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
definitely.
Would you break up with someone who didn't like Sailor Moon?
I mean, I think I would have to break up with someone who actively hated it, who couldn't, like, accept my obsession with it.
Right, especially when your obsession is based on, this is what taught me that love and friendship and teamwork is the best way to solve conflict.
Exactly.
That's fucking stupid, yeah.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you break up with somebody who just kind of didn't get it? Like, no matter how much you tried to show them, he listened to podcasts. I'm assuming he or she, I don't know.
Probably. Yeah.
You'd probably just have to let them go if they were just not cool.
If they just straight up didn't get it. Because I'm gonna be real with you right now. So, Kelby, one of my co-hosts on Love and Justice, her husband Sam was not into anime at all.
Right.
Not at all. Thought it was super weird, didn't like it, etc. Somehow he ended up watching Attack on Titan and then was like, I kind of like this. I'm going to give other anime a chance. And now, like, independently, he is watching the live action version of Sailor Moon just on his own. And he had zero interest in Sailor Moon before. He thought it was super weird.
Yeah.
We liked to weird him out by showing him stuff from Sailor Stars, where the Sailor Starlights are, like, men who transform into women. So, like, we really tried to put him, like, to weird him out as much as possible. And he just embraced it. So
nice. He
I
just
feel like,
found a way.
Exactly. So, like, if Sam can do it, and you can make that effort for somebody that you love, like, someone should be able to do that for me.
Right, so just like Sailor Moon, you have hope
Yeah, I do.
that the power of Sailor Moon can transform this guy.
Yes.
Excellent. Would you swear at a nun if she insulted Sailor Moon to your face?
Swear at a nun?
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the bad guys in Sailor Moon is an asshole nun.
Is he? Is that his name? Asshole nun?
Asshole, no, it's a woman. She's a nun. She's teaching... She's, like, a teacher at this school who moonlights as, like, a jazzercise instructor.
Like you do.
Yeah, Sailor Stars was a time. Yep.
So you feel like you know how to attack a nun because you learned it from Sailor Moon?
Absolutely, yeah. I also learned that there are no nice nuns. That I actually learned from Sam, because we made him watch that episode. And he said that it was a bold-faced lie because this nun was nice, and he's like, nope, I went to Catholic school, nuns are not nice.
Fair enough.
That nun would deserve it.
Now, I believe I know the answer to this question, but would you cosplay as a Sailor Moon character at San Diego Comic-Con?
I do! I didn't at San Diego. At San Diego, God, what did I cosplay at San Diego? I cosplayed Bulma from Dragon Ball, and then I did a really sweet team cosplay with one of my friends that were the two main characters from this video game, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I don't know if you ever played that game.
I have not.
It was amazing. I was the boy character, Zeke. I got to style this really spiky blonde wig. But at WonderCon last year, and at a couple other conventions I've worn it as well, I do cosplay as Sailor Venus, who is my favorite of the Sailor Senshi.
Now, if she's your favorite, why didn't you want to have a drink with her?
Because I feel like I'm very similar to her, and that's why she is my favorite.
Okay, so you just feel like you'd have a drink with yourself.
With myself.
All right.
Yeah.
So what is Sailor Venus's power? What does she stand by?
So she's the leader, actually, of the Sailor Guardians. Like, in the past, that's what she was. She's a very different character in the 90s anime than she is in the manga and Crystal, and particularly the live action version, Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, which weirdly enough might actually be my favorite version of Sailor Moon. she's the big sister. She's the one who like takes all the responsibility on herself and is afraid to admit that she needs help. And yeah,
fair enough. And what is her?
She's the guardian of love, and the irony of it is like she love not happening for her.
Right, she doesn't have time for it because she's too busy guarding it.
Exactly.
Nice. And what kind of stick does she have? Does she have a stick?
She has a chain that she wears around her waist. And one of her attacks is Venus Love Me Chain. Her lights, her powers are all like gold and light because that's associated with the planet Venus in like Japanese culture.
Okay.
And love, obviously, because she's the guardian of love.
So does she hit people or blast them with rays?
She hits them with her love chain.
And what happens to them then?
They get ensnared and zapped with energy. It's magical attacks.
Yeah. That's all very much.
In Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, the live action version, their stunt doubles are all gymnasts. So like there's a lot of cartwheels that happen.
Excellent. Would you watch a live action Sailor Moon movie made by Adam Sandler?
No, because he would not get it.
No, that's kind of the idea of the question. So you just
absolutely not. No, and I've met Adam Sandler, and he's a very nice person, but he would not. I do not trust Sailor Moon in his hands, especially because like Adam Sandler is notorious for being like, I'm gonna take all my people on a vacation, but we're gonna pretend like it's because we want to make a movie and we're just going to make this really bad movie, but really we're just going on a vacation.
Right. So he would get all of his friends to make a crappy Sailor Moon movie. Mm-hmm. So even if you were hit with a Venus love belt, that would not be enough. Venus love me chain. Yeah. A Venus love belt. That's even worse. Oh, man. All right. This is the final question. It is a weird question. I ask it of everyone. If you could not watch Sailor Moon without you or someone you love first being punched in the crotch, would you still watch Sailor Moon?
Especially because, like, Sailor Moon Crystal is just about to come back. I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
Because I need to. I need to see.
You have to see it.
Because, because the new series, Sailor Moon Crystal, is very faithful to the original source material in a way that the 90s anime was not. And in a way that the live action version was not. But whereas the 90s anime added a lot of silly filler, the live action version like really fleshed out the story and the characters.
Okay, cool.
The live action version of Sailor Moon, it is low budget. The effects are not good. The Yoma are all like choose your own Super Sentai villain. Like they clearly went into a warehouse and were like, we're going to use this helmet and this shirt and these boots and these leggings. That's a monster.
Nice.
But once you get past that, and like the girls' costumes and wigs are amazing, but like once you get past like the cheesy low budget factor, like the acting is so good and the storytelling it's just so complex and interesting, and it deals with a lot of like difficult topics. So I absolutely love the live action version, but it is really cool to see the original story being brought to life on the screen. And so like I need to see what they do with the next story arc, because like the next story arc, the Infinity Academy Deathbusters arc, that's like where it really gets going. They introduce more of the outer guardians, so like Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune show up. And you get a lot, and all the girls get like more powers, and I need to see it.
Cool. So you would definitely take a punch in the crotch in order to see new stuff.
Yep.
Would you take a punch in the crotch to go back and watch old stuff?
Yeah.
Nice.
I have to, professionally speaking, because I gotta go back and talk about that old stuff.
Oh, that's my favorite. That I got somebody to say, professionally speaking, I would need to be punched in the crotch in order to. Now, people normally bargain with this question, and that's why I have it phrased as, would you or someone you love be punched in the crotch? But I feel like you've already answered that you as the organizer, Sailor Venus, right? Yeah. Sailor Venus would take the punch in the crotch.
She would totally take it. She absolutely would. If it was for the good of the team, hell yeah.
Yeah, cool. I asked people to make a noise to sum up their obsession. Can you make a noise to sum up your obsession with Sailor Moon?
Oh, wow. A noise to sum up my obsession. It's like...
Is that unique to Sailor Moon, or is that general excitement?
I feel like that's like to any sort of like cute, sugary, magical girl kind of thing, I think.
Yeah.
Is that high-pitched squeaking noise.
So you make the high-pitched squeaking noise. Is there a different noise that you would make for when the show gets like deep and tragic and real?
I'm trying to think. deep and tragic and real. I just listen. It's like it's like ugly tears, ugly sobbing. I don't know if I can really recreate that with just my voice and not my face, but it's like Claire Danes, like Homeland ugly cry.
That is an excellent noise.
Yeah.
Claire Danes' ugly Homeland cry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the best noises I've heard. I have been rating people's obsession to kind of compare across the podcasts. So I think I'm going to give you 5 out of 7 cutie moon rods.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Because you are very, very knowledgeable. You're very obsessed.
Yes.
But it's clearly not your only obsession.
That is correct.
You have a lot of obsessions and a lot of knowledge about a lot of different things.
I do.
But I suspect if you had to choose, that Sailor Moon would be one of the things that you
Yeah.
would cling to, like the blankie in your bedroom.
Yep. Yeah. No, I would definitely put Sailor Moon up. Like, in terms of my fandoms, it's something that's been with me for a very long period of time, and that I do have a lot of knowledge of. But I mean, as you say, it's like I like a lot of stuff, but like Sailor Moon is definitely way
Right.
up there.
It got you at a young age when you were a horse riding bullshit young white girl.
Yes, exactly.
And it has stuck with you and will stick with you for a very long time.
Yeah.
And you're also cognizant of how it affects your actual life, which I'm always interested in.
Yeah.
And how it actually affects people's real lives. Cool. Well, do you want to tell people where they can find you on the social medias?
Yeah. So you can find me personally, Emma Fyffe, at my name. So EMMAFYFFE. That is all F's as in Fred. There are no S's as in Snake or as in Sailor Moon. They F and S tend to sound the same on the phone or sometimes when you're listening to them on a recording. So it's very interesting when someone has called to make a hotel reservation for me.
And they make it for like Emma Slice?
I'll show up to like any weird combination of F's and S's. So yeah, at Emma Fyffe, that's where you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page, which is just Emma Fyffe Entertainer, I guess, is I think what I classify myself as.
Is that actually part of the title?
No, but
or that's the category.
You know when you make a Facebook page and you have to like categorize yourself? Yeah, that's not part of the title. That's my category is entertainer.
Excellent.
And then you can find me on a bunch of shows at AfterBuzzTV.com, which if you go to YouTube and go to AfterBuzz TV, if you see Star Wars Rebels or Agent Carter or we just wrapped up Ruby. Like I'm on a whole bunch of shows. And then my Sailor Moon podcast is called Love and Justice. If you look us up in the iTunes store, actually, if you look up just Sailor Moon in the iTunes store, we're the second result that comes up.
Nice.
There's one before us. It's called Sailor Talk. They haven't posted an episode since 2008. Yet they still come up before us.
They are not magical space princesses of podcasting.
Not.
You guys are.
Yeah, we are. So Love and Justice. And then we're on Facebook, Love and Justice, a serious Sailor Moon podcast. And you can also follow us on Twitter at LNJ Pod. Because you can't use an ampersand, which is that and symbol, in a Twitter handle. So the N is like the and part of Love and Justice. So
Love and Justice.
LNJ
Nice.
Pod, first part of podcast.
Nice. And if you are listening to this podcast and like Obsessed, but don't follow us on Twitter, you can follow us as at Obsessed Podcast. So please do that. So I have final questions that I ask people. They don't have anything to do with your obsession, but they can if you want. Which would you rather be able to shoot out of your hands? A Wi-Fi signal or water?
Water. Yeah.
Now, why?
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to the sort of like magical girl thing of like, I want to have elemental powers.
Right. You want to be attached to something ancient.
Yeah, and real.
Yeah. Not some bullshit Wi-Fi signal. Fair enough. Fair enough. If there were a dance move named after you, what would it be?
Oh, God.
I would accept that as an answer, but...
It would be, dance move named after
Now, are you a dancer? Do you dance?
My background's in musical theater, so I did dance a bit growing up.
Do you dance socially, like at conventions, parties?
I went to the Jane Austen ball earlier this year, which was amazing.
Now, was there a lot of like EDM music where people like really dancing their asses off at the Jane Austen party?
No, it was all like traditional English country dancing.
So did you learn actual like proper Jane Austen dancing?
Yeah, I did.
Did they teach you exactly when in the dance you should exchange weird passive aggressive subtext with your dance partner?
No, you have to figure that one out for yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so you have done musical theater dance, and you have
like jazz and tap.
And you've taught yourself oldie-timey Jane Austen dance. But do you do like social dancing, like club dancing?
No.
Fair enough.
No.
Fair enough.
Like it would be like Whitey McWhite. That would be the dance move named after me.
I accept that.
No, I mean like at friends' weddings and things, like I can get down on the dance floor. Like I really enjoy it. The thing about this is gonna get like really strangely real. About like I don't like to go out to clubs because this is the thing. Like unlike the Jane Austen social dancing, which is very like. There's set moves that you're supposed to do, and it's all very, like, as you say, like, there's good moments to exchange witty repartee.
Right. And for you, it can be memorized, right?
Yeah.
And mastered.
Exactly. It can be memorized and mastered, which, as I have made very clear on this podcast, is something that is very agreeable to me. But yeah, just, like, going out to the club and dancing, it's like, I feel like club dancing is, like, too sexual.
Yes.
For me.
No, and I totally understand that. I had discovered late in life that I like dancing, but it was only because I would do it at conventions with my weirdo friends.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then every once in a while people are like, oh, you're a good dancer. Like, no, I'm not.
Right.
I'm a comedian. I'm doing comedy dance.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
no, you're just
I'm
dancing.
Just laughing at myself.
So eventually I was like, oh yeah, well, this is great. This is a great part of conventions.
Yeah.
That I can.
Yeah, no, that I like, but like, I don't get down at the club. But that's the thing is that like, it's fine that I'm like super white and awkward with my hands, like when doing club dancing at a convention.
Do you not know what to do with your hands?
Yeah, that's actually the defining characteristic of a white girl dancing.
Okay.
Is being unaware of what to do with your hands.
So maybe your dance would just be called "What's Up with My Hands."
Yeah, what's up with my hands? Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's why the white girl, it's like you like touch your hair because you don't know what to do with your hands.
Because they got to go somewhere.
They gotta go somewhere.
Nice. And the final question for everyone on the podcast is, what is happiness?
Happiness. Oh man. Happiness is being able to make a career out of like doing something that you love.
Cool.
You know, because you gotta love what you do because you do it every day. Like it would be terrible to go through life like not making stuff that's like, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this. So like it's like for me, like what makes me most happy is that like I am able to basically like talk about the things that I like and travel and go to all of these conventions and meet all these really incredible people that are involved in creating the stuff that I like. And I like that I get to like talk to these people and share their experiences with other people who are fans of them, and that I sort of a bridge between like the creators and the fans. Yeah.
So happiness for you is not giving up that show that your parents thought you would.
Exactly.
That is awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That is our podcast.
You've been listening to Obsessed. Joseph Scrimshaw and his guest shared some stories with the rest. Rate 5 stars if you're impressed.
Here are all the Sailor Moon characters I can name. Sailor Moon, Sailor Venus, Sailor Mars, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Jupiter, Sailor Saturn, Sailor Neptune, Sailor Pluto, Sailor Aluminum Siren, Sailor Lead Crow, Sailor Iron Mouse, Sailor Galaxia, Fisheye, Tiger Eye, Siri, June, Pala, Queen Nehelene.